he is called Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama. English people cannot pronounce Dalai, so he becomes Dalai Lama. In Malay, we call him Old Ocean. Okay, right. Sometimes TV here, there. Okay, just to, what the hell, I'll tell you this. You see, I don't know if I told you this before, nothing to do with Buddhist talk, okay? Anyway, when the English people first went to Australia, they saw this funny animal jumping around and carrying the baby in the pocket. So they didn't know what it was. So they asked everybody, and then they caught one Aboriginal, and they, by sign language, asked what it. The guy said kangaroo. So they said, so this is called a kangaroo, drew the picture, sent it back to England, and then we have discovered a new animal, it's called a kangaroo and all that. And went on for a long time until one day somebody learned the language of the Aboriginals and found out that kangaroo means I don't know. Anyway, so that Dalai Lama is the same Dalai Lama who is being born again and again until we have come to our 14th Dalai Lama. Okay? Tenzin Gyatso. And that is the 14th Dalai Lama. It's the same person. So there you have now spread of Buddhism. And finally, maybe we should tell you that Buddhism always remained as an Asian religion. And now it has been discovered. As long ago as the 18th century, Buddhism already was being discovered. Most of the people who studied Buddhism did it for two reasons: as scholars to study Sanskrit. Yeah? And when they were studying Sanskrit and they were studying Pali, they discovered what a great religion Buddhism was. And in Germany, in France, they started to study and become Buddhists on a small scale.
Right.
Sorry?
Mostly Vajrayana.
No. Vajrayana is very new. Earlier ones were Theravada because they were studying Indian.
Now
it's Vajrayana. So what happened was, Buddhism came to be known in the West. And people like Rhys Davids and all that, they started off as scholars, but they were converted. Then there were missionaries. Who's the guy? Olcott. Colonel Olcott, for example, he was a missionary who tried to study Buddhism to show it was inferior to Christianity. But the more they studied, the more converted they got. And when they got converted, they became spokesmen for Buddhism. And so these were the West discovering the East. But as a part of colonialism, still Theravada, as a part of colonialism, locals were learning English. So these monks like Venerable Narada and so on, they went over and taught Buddhism to the English. So sort of homegrown. So that was one stream. First scholarly, second missionary, Theravada. Then came 1969, the Chinese attack on Tibet. When the Chinese attacked Tibet, the refugees ran out. They went to places like France and so on. Theravada Buddhism spread. But Theravada Buddhism, I think it's the nature of the monks or whatever, I don't know. But they are very, very, very successful in the West. They're far more successful. I don't know whether it's meditation or whether it's devotion, or whether it has got the glamour, yeah, that Theravada lacks. Theravada is really dry.
The Vajra bell.
Yeah, with all those things, the bells and the bathing and the mandalas and all that. You see, so it is a much more exotic in one sense. And also it explains things like death and all that, which is very interesting to the Western mind. So put all that together, plus the Dalai Lama's personality and
And Richard Gere.
Yeah.
And Richard Gere.
And Richard Gere, yes. And, Richard Gere. So all these you put together, you get Vajrayana as the fastest growing of the Buddhists. The Theravadins started the thing going, but they seem to have lost steam. Japan, Zen Buddhism became very popular because of one scholar, Suzuki, D.T. Suzuki. He attended a World Parliament of Buddhists in Chicago in 1894. That's when actually Hinduism also hit the world. But the Buddhist representative was D.T. Suzuki, who spoke so convincingly about the scientific nature of Buddhism that Zen Buddhism took a hold in America. Zen Buddhism. And so even today it's quite well known. Yeah? But yeah, I think Vajrayana lends itself to the Richard Gere types. Okay? And so it is very popular in France, in Switzerland, everywhere you go you find them there. But their nature, they're so friendly, they're always smiling. You know, they're always walking like this. Alright? And I mean, compared to our morose Theravada monks. Then Chinese Buddhism also, not so much Chinese, because Chinese didn't have that impetus to go out. They were not very interested in going and converting all the kui around them. But Vietnam, Vietnamese Buddhism also made a huge impact, especially in France because they were French speaking. Then from France they went off to the US. So with all of that, today I think in a world that is so torn apart with violence, Buddhism seems to stand out as a non-violent religion, and this is making people stand up and say, why, what is this? So there is mainly an intellectual interest in Buddhist teaching, but whether it will convert into a devotional interest, I don't know. Okay? But let us all sit down and ask Sister Paru to lead us in praying that we all become Buddhists. The world will become Buddhist. Sister Paru, please pray for us. Thank you, thank you. It's oh my God.
No questions?
No, anybody who wants to sit down and listen to talk on the concept of God? Remember, I promised to talk to you about that. We're going to go for 10 minutes, mana boleh. 100 minutes.